Hey, nobody's out there, right? Good. Um, I want to say some cynical stuff. Anyway, I made this video yesterday where I said, I'll live for you, Christy, talking about my ex. And it got 41 views. And it got some likes, but it didn't get many likes. And so I could be wrong, but I would imagine it's possible that my ex is like forwarding this to her friends and going, look at this fucking schmo. One of many poor, stupid, schlubby uh, goobers, some goober guy who's stuck on me like all these other fools. And I remember my ex vaguely. I remember my ex a long time ago. My ex took me to one of her friends' houses. Her friend was named Sherry or something like that, and she said Sherry and me are cut from a similar cloth. And Sherry had some goober guy, I just imagine my ex has these friends who have like pretty faces, and they kind of give each other high fives of like, look at these schmoes, look at the new schlub that I have trapped in my spell, and they share. I imagine that my ex and her friend Sherry and her other pretty face friends, they know all about using their pretty face to get some dumpy goober guy to like be stuck on them and serving them somehow. And I'm serving my ex by basically saying, "Oh, how do I love you? Let me count the ways." And they're like, "Well, you're good for bolstering my ego, but you're not really good for paying for my rent or giving me satisfying dick." And so they're kind of, I would imagine they're talking with their other pretty face fans, and they're like, "I got this guy to give me dick. I got this guy to pay my rent. I got this guy to write me love letters, and I'll just keep them coming." Which point I don't really know, but if I think back on a relationship, there's kind of a cynical thing where it's like, well, that's why I canceled that apartment. Like we had an apartment, and she kind of she quit her job, and then she was like going off to talk with some guy. She was meeting with some guy at some Alcoholics Anonymous thing, and he was some bad dude. She always wanted some like bad dude, and I would imagine that somebody was telling her like, yeah, you get your rent from the goober who's not sexy. He can pay your rent, but then you get the dick from the bad boy, and then you just get it. Who cares where you get it? But just use that pretty face to get something. And so I wonder if that's just women all over the world. All over the world, women are like, we know what you want, and we want what we want. And then there's cynical men who are like, forget it. Just what do you think? I don't know. I wonder if there's just general cynicism around the world of just, what do you call it? Red pill people who are just like, oh. Nobody's listening, but I'm on Tinder now, and so much of Tinder is just scams, and I feel so sick of like looking at adults and just being like, let me guess, if it's a man, people are like, what are you good for? They expect the man to be good for money or something, some sort of output. They're like, what are you useless man, you need to be good for money or some kind of output. And then if it's women, people are like, what are you good for? And it's sex or companionship or something like that. And so there's just kind of this thing where it's like, we know you want like sex and companionship for the women, we know you want money and time and effort somehow from the men. But I just keep thinking, remember when we were kids, and there was no sex or money, and if kids went to other kids on the playground, they're just like, I like something about you. That's the good stuff. And I keep thinking like, this internet life is probably what I'm just going to do until I'm dead. And at least anybody coming to me on this, there's no exchange of money or sex. It's kind of like, if somebody's watching me, they like me for some quirky, like, this is weird or something. It's some sort of playground, like, well, that's kind of interesting. Anyway, what do you have to say, Sean? I don't know. Anyway, in other observations, I asked ChatGPT, I said, as a broad generalization, don't you see a pattern more and more in the world where people are going to screens? They're going to screens to try to have connection. They crave connection with real humans. Their desire to connect is more and more being hijacked by machines, which are disabling their ability to have the more time they spend time at screens, there's just a force in the world that says, shut the fuck up and die alone at that screen. And it's basically there's people making programs that are hijacking people's desire to connect and there's people making money off of that in the form of like social media and video games and Netflix and stuff. And it's hard to break away from the screen. And eventually, there's people at retirement homes who are just stuck in front of some fucking screen. I don't know. I guess some people are like doing crochet or something. But there's a window of time when you're 18 to 35 when you can break away and try, if you have like enough good stuff, to try to have actual physical contact. Jiu-jitsu is a good way to get to break away from screens and have actual physical contact. But boy, I'm really fucking sick of screens. But I don't think I have enough good stuff anymore to physically connect with real humans anymore. And eventually I just get so tired and so ugly that the force of just shut the fuck up and dying alone at that screen eventually gets everybody just shutting the fuck up and dying alone at some screen. And so if you have any life in you, or any ability to break away from the fucking screen, do it now. It's a trap. We're all being baited into shutting the fuck up and dying alone at some screen. So on that note, I'm gonna go walk my fucking dogs, but I'm gonna do it while looking at a screen. I'm gonna walk my dog. At least I can learn programming on my phone with my dogs tied to my waist, and that's the only ability I have to break away from this fucking screen. So let's do that.